Welcome to the 10-Minute Book Guide. Today, we are diving headfirst into Suzanne Collins's massive return to Panem, Sunrise on the Reaping. And wow, this book just drops a devastating question right in your lap. I mean, think about it. This is the central challenge, the brilliant and, frankly, brutal puzzle Collins sets for herself. We already know the destination, right? We know Haymitch Abernathy becomes this broken, alcoholic mentor, just haunted by ghosts. So the real question here isn't what happens to him, it's how. So let's investigate how she does it. Let's look at the literary architecture Collins uses to make a foregone conclusion feel like a fresh, completely devastating wound. And that right there is the crucial shift. The book rewinds the clock a full 50 years, way before Katniss Everdeen was ever born. It forces us to strip away everything we thought we knew about Haymitch and meet the person he was before the Capitol systematically destroyed him.
So, who was he? Who was Haymitch before the arena changed everything? Well, the book introduces us to a world that's incredibly grim, sure, but it's also a world filled with connection and even a little flicker of hope.
This slide just perfectly highlights the sheer distance the character has to travel. The Haymitch we meet here isn't the man we know drowning his sorrows in white liquor. Not at all. He's a 16-year-old kid. He's in love with a girl named Lenore Dove. He's fiercely protective of his family, and he's just starting to think he might actually have a future. You know, the opening pages just paint such a vivid picture. It's his 16th birthday, and his biggest plan is to finish his illegal bootlegging work so he can spend the afternoon with Lenore. He has a 10-year-old brother Sid who absolutely adores him. The point is, he has a life with all its small joys and massive pressures, and it's all happening just moments before the reaping shatters it all to pieces. And this quote, it's just brilliant. It perfectly illustrates the world he's stuck in. It's a place of constant, humiliating reminders of the Capitol's control. And that dark, cynical humor, that is pure Haymitch. But you see, it's rooted in this grim reality where even his clothes are literally a brand of his oppression. Okay, now for the real core of our analysis. Let's break down 3 specific techniques Collins uses to construct this tragedy, and how she turns our foreknowledge into a source of dread. So, our first insight, the weaponization of hope. This is absolutely crucial. Collins doesn't just give Haymitch something to lose. She takes that hope and turns it into a weapon against him, and by extension, against us, making the ending we all know is coming just that much more painful. And just look at how she does it. First, she builds these deep, personal connections. We see his quiet moments with Lenore. We feel his fierce protection of Sid. Then, she introduces a real, tangible future. This idea that he could partner up in Hattie's bootlegging business, maybe build a real life. Hope becomes his anchor. And then, the Capitol, through President Snow, grabs that anchor and uses it to drown him. That quote from Snow isn't just a threat. It totally recalibrates the stakes. Winning is no longer about survival. It's about condemning the very people he loves. All right, the second insight is all about propaganda. Collins masterfully explores this chasm between what the districts see on TV and what's actually real, showing how the Capitol sanitizes its own brutality in real time. This is one of the most chilling parts of the book, for sure. We see the reaping through Haymitch's eyes. A tribute gets shot. The drawing is rigged. Peacekeepers are brutalizing the crowd. But then, Plutarch Heavensbee reveals this crucial detail. The broadcast to the public ended before all the chaos. So as far as Panem knows, the ceremony was perfect. The book just constantly forces you to ask, what is history, if not the story the victors choose to tell? Finally, my third insight, Collins uses the other tributes not just as obstacles, but as these complex mirrors that reflect and challenge Haymitch's own worldview as it develops. And the most significant of these, by far, is Maysilee Donner. So we first meet Maysilee as this childhood rival, the coddled merchant's daughter from the nice part of town. But the games, well, they strip all of that away. We see her stand up to their escort, Drusilla, and get whipped for it. We see her brilliant strategic mind at work, and ultimately, her profound loyalty. She becomes this incredible, layered character who forces both Haymitch and us, the readers, to just discard our prejudices. She's not just an ally, she's a moral and strategic compass in the arena. So at the end of the day, why does this story matter? Because it's not just backstory, not by a long shot. It's a profound exploration of how systems of power can create monsters. This novel just deepens the entire mythology of Panem. It argues that the capital's greatest weapon isn't its military, but its ability to control the narrative, to turn hope into a leash. It shows that the true cost of fighting back isn't just your life, it's your soul. This is the story of how Haymitch Abernathy, the victor, was forged, and it is a story about the breaking of a boy. Which brings us to the big question. With a story this intense, this dark, should you be the one to pick it up? Well, here's my take. If you love deep psychological character dives and you want to understand the true, gritty mechanics of Panem's cruelty, then this book is absolutely essential. It's a masterclass. However, if you're looking for a story with a thread of hope, or maybe just a simple, action-packed plot, you might find this journey pretty challenging. It is, by its very design, a story about the absence of hope.
Ultimately, what Sunrise on the Reaping does is it retroactively darkens the entire original series, casting this long, tragic shadow over a character we all thought we knew.
This quote, it's from the funeral scene back in District 12 after the games, and it's just gut-wrenching. It perfectly encapsulates the immense weight of loss he's already carrying. Long before he ever meets Katniss, before the decades of alcohol, Haymitch is already a graveyard of ghosts. And that's the final, most powerful takeaway. This book makes Haymitch's cynicism, his sarcasm, his brokenness, it makes them not just character traits, but scars. Scars we actually watched him receive. It doesn't excuse his actions, but it makes them profoundly, painfully understandable. He stops being a supporting character and becomes, in many ways, the tragic heart of the entire saga.
Your weekly shortcut to deciding what to read next.